moving in the dark. Zainab had moved into an old apartment, and at first everything seemed ordinary. But after a few weeks, strange noises started to unsettle her. At first, she only heard creaking sounds in the walls. Small, indistinct noises, but one night those sounds were closer than ever. It felt like someone was walking around in her room. Zainab woke up and noticed something moving in the dark corners of her room. She couldn't see anything and couldn't hear anything, but a deep sense of danger was creeping up on her. She spent that night trying to sleep, but when she woke up in the morning, she heard a whisper. "Zainab, Zainab." Her name echoed in the room, but no one was there. Over the following weeks, the whispers came every night. A few nights later, the doorbell rang. Zainab opened the door to find her neighbor, an old and strange man named Mr. Hank. His eyes were sharp as he stared at Zainab, and he said, "Leave your apartment." "It's cursed." Zainab initially thought the man was crazy, but there was genuine fear in his eyes. He spoke of previous tenants who had disappeared. "Someone like you is next. Listen to me. Leave before it's too late." Zainab didn't take him seriously, but soon she began to feel something was wrong. She decided to investigate the apartment's history. In the newspaper, she found an old article about a family who had once lived there, and one night they had simply vanished. Since then, no one had stayed in that apartment for long. As Zainab delved deeper into the past, she discovered that the disappearances were connected to a dark secret. The more she uncovered, the more her mind seemed to unravel. One night, Zainab heard the whisper again. Slowly, she opened her eyes, and for a moment she thought she was alone. But then, in the corner of the room, a figure appeared. A woman dressed in white, her face completely obscured, but her eyes were clear. Zainab froze in terror as the woman slowly approached her. The woman whispered her name once more, "Zainab." The next morning, Zainab felt like she was losing her grip on reality. She couldn't understand what was happening. When her friend Elif came to visit, she found the apartment strange. Zainab was distant, her eyes blank. As Elif approached her, Zainab smiled. But it wasn't a smile that belonged to a living person, it was the smile of a ghost. Elif felt a wave of fear rush through her. As she turned to leave the room, she heard the terrible whisper, "Elif, Elif." A dark force filled the room, and as Elif tried to escape, the door slammed shut. A powerful grip held her in place. It wasn't long before Elif's screams faded into silence. The story was growing. After Zainab's disappearance, she was found and hospitalized. Doctors said she was physically fine, but her mind was slipping further and further away. Zainab would repeat the same whispering every night in her hospital room. "Zainab, Zainab," but this time she wasn't alone. There was a shadow with her. Days later, when the police found no trace of Elif, they realized that Zainab had fallen into a dark world in the apartment. Her mind was now under the apartment's control, and her body had been taken over by the darkness. But there was something more. Every night, strange things began happening in her hospital room. Room would grow cold, walls would creak, and lights would flicker. Zainab, growing worse with each passing day, seemed to vanish without a trace by morning. One morning, a nurse entered Zainab's room only to find it empty. The air was thick with a cold breeze. Zainab's bed was vacant, and in the air there was only the faintest echo of something dark that lingered. Zainab's spirit was no longer a memory. She had become one of the souls that refused to leave. Her whisper would echo in the corridors, and no one would be safe from the curse she had carried with her. You can let me know if you are a subscriber to let me know if you want more horror sessions.